Alright, so I just set it here in the barn. Let's go over what is wrong with this thing and what we're going to do to fix it. So, first thing, what was wrong with it when I bought it is the belt will not stay on it. And here's what I found. So I've kind of been digging around on this thing. That spring I thought was missing is not missing. I took this off. I'll explain that in a minute. But if you look, this deck spindle is, the deck has been up right here. It needs a good hit with a sledgehammer about right here, because this spindle is not sitting level, and that might be the cause of it not. If it's like this, it's not going to ride right on the idler and tensioner. So that might be part of our problem. The spindles are definitely bad, and you can hear them grinding. I think what has happened is the bearings have slop, and there's also stuff wrapped around the bottom of the blade. And I think what it's done is it's sucked the whole thing down, and now they're kind of rubbing a little bit on the top of the spindle. That's just kind of my guess. So they're riding a little bit low because of slop in the bearings. So we're going to have to tear these apart and try to fix it. The deck itself, it's got some rust on it. We're just going to clean that up. It's got these holes. I don't know if they were, it looks like they've been drilled. I don't know what they were there for, unless they're just drain holes. You know, it's got some over here too. So we're going to just clean off the scale and spray it with some Rust-Oleum and call it good. I store my mowers inside. This one looks like it was stored, well, I know it was stored outside, and that's about the worst thing you can do for a mower, especially if you don't clean the grass off of it. The deck's gonna rust. So the idler seems good. Bearing seems good on it. The tensioner as well, or the two idlers both seem good. The tensioner is a little noisy and it's a little sloppy right now. He thought there was an issue with the tensioner, and so I think he left it loose, because it is loose. So the two idlers are good. Oh goodness. The two idlers seem good. The tensioner is a little noisy, but we will leave it for now. What else? I'll show you over there. I put the charger on the battery, and the battery is good. It's holding a charge. It starts it great. So I think we lucked out on the battery. It just needed a charge. So since we got a good battery in it, now we can look and see this thing has 166 hours on it. Not bad at all. That's pretty low hours, and I don't think this was used in a commercial setting. You know, the seat, even though it's cracked, it's cracked from sitting out in the sun and the weather. But normally, you know, when they get a lot of use, you know, you start losing chunks in the corners and stuff. They just wear out. We'll put some silicone or something in there to seal that back up, and we should be good on the seat for a while. The reason I took those grates off is the fan is loose. Here. So we need to address that. I think what it has is there's a spacer between this and the crankshaft, and that tightens up the crankshaft, and it's got a set distance that it puts tension on this, and this has just worn thin, this plastic. And so I think I'm just going to shim it with some of this foil tape, and that'll make just put that on the back of the fan. We'll see once we get it apart. We may be able to fix it some other way, but my thinking right now is just put some of that on the back of the fan and bolt it back down, and it should be good for a while at least, and then we can always buy a replacement fan if we need to later on. It's got an oil leak the governor shaft seal's leaking, which is down in there. So I've already ordered that seal. We'll replace it. Also ordered 2 valve cover gaskets so we can adjust the valves on it. I'm sure they need it. And I think to do that, we'll need to take the muffler off to get to that over there. So we'll kind of tear all this when we get ready to do that. I might just go ahead and take this back part off, and then we can have a little more room to work, especially get to that governor shaft seal. The thing runs great, like I said earlier or in the last video, so there's really not any issues with it running. Really, the deck is the main thing. The hydraulics are good on it. Guess I didn't show y'all everything on it. The seat is heavy. It is not a suspension seat. They had a suspension seat option on these, and it does not have that option. Like I said, battery's good. Hydraulics seem good on it. We'll just clean all these leaves and stuff out of it, you know, blow it out. The engine is grimy. We're going to need to clean that up, but we will do that when we take the cover off to fix this. I need to get an oil filter. We'll change the oil in it. Hydraulic filter. Let's see what the hydraulic oil looks like in it. It's alright, I guess. Definitely looks pretty old and definitely could use a change. So we will change that, especially since this thing has sat outside. So I'll order a hydraulic filter. We'll get some Mobile One 1550 and we'll change that. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned it. The issue it had with it not wanting to go into chickens are so loud. The issue it had with not wanting to go into, with it wanting to die when you took the parking brake off and all that. It's got a brake relay right there, and I assumed it was something wrong with that, the system on that. But once I got the battery charged up, it's working. And he said it had never done that before, so it's hard for me to believe that it was just because the battery was low, because I tried operating it with the jumper cables on it, and I don't know if that battery was just draining my other battery down since it was dead and we weren't getting enough voltage, but whatever the issue is, it's not there anymore. So we don't have an issue with that. So I guess we can cross that off the list. So that's really it. We've, you know, it's little stuff like fixing that, you know, loose wheel there, and greasing everything. This thing's, it's a commercial mower. It's got grease zerks everywhere, and it probably, I wouldn't be surprised if some of them haven't been greased since it left the factory. So I'll probably use up a whole tube of grease in my grease gun trying to get this thing greased up. The choke cable is almost frozen up. It works, but the knob pulls off half the time you try to use it because it is so stiff. So we will need to oil that cable. I might be able to fix it with my cable oiler. If not, we might just take the cable off and throw it in a pan of diesel and let it soak, and that should free it up. I don't think I'll have to replace it. Other than that, I think that's our list of stuff we need to do to this thing. It's got 2 fuel tanks on it, which is kind of cool. It's got a lever to switch between the 2. We are running on the left-hand tank. It's got some not good smelling gas in it, but it's running okay on it. And this tank is empty. So chances are I probably won't use both tanks. I'll probably continue just to use the left tank, or I might alternate between the 2 and whatever. But I really probably won't do enough mowing with it to really need 2 tanks. So that's pretty much it, and I think that covers all that is wrong with it. It's possible, because it's so oily up on top, there might be there's a crankcase breather gasket that's prone to leak on those. It could be leaking. I guess we'll know once we tear into it if it's oily up top. We'll go ahead and replace that. If not, we're going to leave it alone. But I think I got a good deal on it, and I think it'll be a good mower. So I think we will end this off here. I think that's a pretty good overview. Why don't we do a cold start on it? How about that? Because I'm going to drive it over the shop and pull one of these spindles apart and see what it looks like for bearings, see if I can rebuild them. Let me set this stuff down. Let me grab the plate that goes over that. And I've also taken off, there's covers that go over these end spindles. I've taken those off just to look at the deck. The cool thing about these things is that it's super easy to work on. You know, you can get to everything here without taking the deck off, by taking that floorboard off, and it just lifts right off. Let me grab it. And on the bottom side of it, it's got a service guide on it, and it tells you all the grease points and everything like that, which is kind of cool. It's upside down, but cool. So let's see if the choke's going to work today without pulling the knob off. There. Got the choke up, fuel, parking brake on. Which it does seem like the parking brake works. I didn't think it was working, but it does. And that was a cold start. You heard how quick that thing started up. It hasn't been running for a few days. Let's see if the brake thing's still working. Yep.